Welcome to Red Pill Diaries. It's Craig. I'm in a forest again. So this morning had a conversation with my girlfriend about when you get sick from COVIDs or whatever it might be, and also about this quest that some people have to kind of live forever, because that's what really many people are trying to do. Whether it's through, whether you believe the adrenochrome stuff or not. Even if you look into what a lot of the scientists are up to with stem cell research. So whether it's the conspiracy side of things, or the stuff that you can't deny is happening, that no one can deny is happening, you can see there's definitely an agenda to live longer with a lot of people, and if possible, live forever. And movies like In Time with Justin Timberlake, big truth drops in this one, but there's obviously many others. And the other thing is that what a lot of people don't think about is that as there's less and less jobs, the topic I had yesterday, we may actually move more towards a world where, because people don't have to work and physically produce anything, and maybe in time don't have to produce anything mentally either, it'll get to a stage where decadence will be the order of the day, and we might end up saying, well, instead of living in this skid row situation that I'm living in, if I get given the option by the government to plug my head into some machine or just some VR system that's got a pipe coming off my dick and a pipe at my asshole to take away the effluent, whatever you call it, I might go for that one. It's a better life than the misery that I'm living in right now. I just got a feeding tube with Soylent Green getting pumped into my mouth. And that would be a form of living for longer, or living forever, or living a better life. Well, one of the things I said to her this morning is that I don't really care. Of course, I want life. I like life, but it's not the end of the world if I die. I've had a good life, and that brought me onto the point that a lot of the people pushing these agendas are people who forget to live properly. They're so focused on making people live longer. Who said that's a problem, that that life forms expire, And I don't know, not in every case, but in most cases, people who talk about living longer are people who have. I've got a good friend, Dean, who used to speak about this quite a lot. Doesn't speak about it so much anymore, but then again, he used to speak about it when he was 20, Maybe the reason why he's not speaking about it as much as he used to is because both of us have done so much since in the last 20 odd years, since I first met him. And some of these people, I don't think they have lived life properly. They're too busy wrapping themselves in cotton wool. And this is a point I took up about some of the boomer generation. My dad, a while ago, described boomers as the most selfish, parasitic, and squanderous generation that ever lived, or that we know of. Of course, there's generations that are, you couldn't really call them generations, but you could say there's subsets of society like you had during the French Revolution, or during Julius Caesar's time, who lived in great opulence where everyone else suffered. But as a group on the whole, you have to look at life throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s, and just simply admit it was pretty hard to be a fuck up then. I do feel sorry for the millennial generation, not so much for the Gen Zs, because they've got their heads screwed on a bit more. I think the whole thing, tough times create hard men, and then hard men make good times make weak men, that cycle. I think they're a victim of that cycle, the millennial generation particularly. Obviously not all, there's exceptions, but I'm just saying if you're going to generalize, I think Gen Zs are a lot stronger in some ways. They don't seem to be so preoccupied with them having to own stuff. Of course, some people might read into that and say, oh, they're a bunch of commies, that generation. Well, maybe they just realize that all this stuff, like wind it back a little bit to my mum's generation, again boomers, right? Where a joke I used to make was when someone called up, I'm like, you got all this stuff everywhere. So me and my brother do up a house for her in New Zealand, and then we move her from one house to another house, and then we have to basically throw away heaps of shit because she hoards stuff, right? And then she moves into the new house and she's got all this stuff lying everywhere. I'm like, God, Mum. And someone rung up and I like go, Trinket and Doily World, Craig speaking, and she's like, oh, shut up, you. But it's so true. Their generation, besides liking wall-to-wall carpets, which are just the most disgusting, filthy things you can have. You can't remove them, you can't clean them. Well, you can clean them, but I mean, even that you got to dry it out, and then it becomes stinky again. It's just a stupid idea, right? Hard wooden floors, tiled floors, or rugs on top of these things are the way to go, right? Anyway, or something along those lines. But also, their generation liked little things to sit on shelves just to gather dust. So when you did the dusting, which they used to do quite often, it would so much, it would encroach in your life so much more, because you got to move everything away. I remember my friend Nick Gallinoli's a friend of mine in South Africa years ago. He lives in Greece now. He's Greek, but his mum used to like hoover the place every single day. Like they lived in an apartment in Johannesburg. Every single day. It's like, well, you haven't got that much dust in a day. You're choosing to give your life to cleaning. You're not living. You know what I mean? That's the point. And also gathering stuff that I was just explaining about Gen Zs before. One of the issues I had years ago, I got myself in a little bit of trouble dealing drugs and stuff, just trying to get ahead in life, was I owned heaps of stuff. And I used to always like, my ex-wife is still a little bit like this. She likes having things. And I was speaking to this about her quite a while ago. She had some workmen came in and they broke something and then didn't own up to it. And I'm like, it's just stuff though, isn't it? Because when I had all these things when I was younger, before I had to kind of walk away from everything, it became like a prison sentence to me. My stuff kept me where I was. I felt that I was bolted to the floor because of these things that I'd accumulated. They also kept me from moving to place I wanted. I wanted to move to the other side of the country, and it was just so expensive to move everything. It would be cheaper buying a truck. That's how ridiculous it was. So basically I learned at that stage in life, like, it's kind of more freedom if you don't own many things, have a more minimal lifestyle. And it's kind of out of it that a lot of people are talking about this today. People who teach about everything from online marketing to other work at home stuff online. Businessmen like Jack Ma or Elon Musk. Say what you like. I know people say they're fake, whatever. I'm not. When I mention people, that's the thing, by the way. You got a lot of people in the truther community who will make assumptions, or they'll just say that they're right about something. He is an alien. He's a lizard. He's a whatever it is, right? I don't like to go down rabbit holes too much, and I also don't like to give finality where there's no finality, or give what's it called? When you put certainty behind something that we can't be certain about. Like, for example, our reality. We don't know, the whole flat Earth, round Earth thing, or the simulation theory. None of us know what's really true. The hardest one to disprove would probably be simulation theory. But to say that and have the answers, people really, really annoy me. I mean, they give comments on channels, like on Discord, when I'm there's a lot of these truther channels on different platforms, and one of the comments I kind of get quite often is from the flat earthers, especially like nuclear weapons don't exist. Well, not you think they don't exist. There's no solid proof behind the fact that they don't, and there's as much evidence to prove that they do as they don't. I mean, you can go buy a Geiger counter. You can buy one, You can check things like the radioactivity. I know I'm really going off on a tangent here, but I feel I have to mention these things sometimes. You can check in everything from the old watch that used the radioactive luminosity, or you can check smoke detectors. They've got part of radioactivity in them. So you can test a lot of these things. Some people say no, it's just the fact that I don't even know why I'm going on about this one. Some people say that the nuclear bomb may exist, but it's just a dirty bomb. It's just basically a thermal bomb that was used in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, for example, and then it spread around radioactive waste. Yeah, maybe. They say mushroom clouds happen with these thermal bombs as well. Whatever. Anyway, that's not the point. I don't want to mention something and have someone focus in there. Ah, Elon Musk. You know what I mean? Just fucking give me a break. Because you get to the stage like this guy this morning, trying to basically tell me that I'm going into the same group think. Well, he's one of these people who think that red pill means that you follow a right-wing ideology, because in America, red is the color of the right, whereas in many countries, red, like England, for example, red is the color of the left. So, it's just these dumb people who just don't understand what they're dealing with in the world, and then they bring their ignorance towards you, and you got to spend. Well, you don't have to, but you choose to either be annoyed or spend time correcting them on their idiocy. So, anyway, let me move on. People who want to live forever. I just think, in the same way that people who, in my opinion, who want to do weird kinky shit, like, I don't know, shit on someone's face or whatever the hell it is, or wear a zip-up mask, things that kind of freak me out, right? I think that's because, or they have to do this to get aroused, is I think because what it generally is people who are either just kind of weird in the head, or people that can't attract someone that they're attracted to. For whatever reason, whether it's how they look, how they act, maybe they're a bit weird and people just don't feel comfortable around them. So they have to do these other things, like get their partner to wear all fucked up kind of shit to get themselves off, right? And that's also why I think is a problem of a lot of erectile dysfunction in the world, is people are just going with people that are just not turned on by. Me personally, if I was just born really, really ugly, or I got maimed in some accident, I just kind of, if I couldn't really attract anyone that I was into, I just wouldn't have sex. You know what I mean? I just I've gone shit. I just went through 2.5 years. It's not that difficult to do. It's just mind over matter. You know what I mean? I mean, that wasn't for that reason. It was for a different reason. Sometimes you need to spend time alone. Anyway, what am I talking about again? It was people wanting to live forever. So I think if these people spent more time, rather than in their labs, than gaining or attaining a personality somehow through applying situations, life experience, and intelligence, and maybe learning how to overcome social awkwardness or whatever it is that might be holding them back from gaining a personality, then they would kind of get more enjoyment from life. That's the only thing I can think of what it might be. Yeah, so live a little and you won't have this constant quest to live for longer. So applying this back to COVID-19, as I was about to do before I got sidetracked, these people, this boomer generation especially, I'm so scared. If I'm accepting, not happy to, but accepting to die at this age of 43, because I've decided to live my life. And when everyone was telling me, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you running from?" I'm not running. I'm just seeing shit. I'm just going around the world seeing things. I've been to probably about 150 countries, and I did that because I wasn't running away. I was running to stuff. Just I was desperate to experience life. And as a result, maybe that's what's made me feel the way I do now. Not to say that if you're lying on your deathbed, you're not going to go, oh no, I'm going to die now, and it'd be quite terrifying. You're going to lose your life. Of course, it's in our DNA to feel these things. If that's happening to us, we want to preserve our own life. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself questions. If you're petrified and if you don't want other people to live, because you want to live even longer at age 60, 70, or 80, or even 90, or even more than that in some cases, and you're moaning at some little child who's playing because you want him to wear a mask and be inside and social distance, and you're moaning at someone else who's only got 3 months to fucking live. That's the reality of the situation. Some people have only got a few months to live. Some people are already dying of cancer. And you're telling them to stay at home because you want to fucking live longer. You need to get your fucking head checked. You need to go have a life and stop being such a fucking piece of shit, selfish motherfucker, eh? And that's how I think of some of these people. And as my dad said years ago, rightfully so, the boomer generation probably has the highest concentration of these selfish motherfuckers living in it who squandered. And I mean, the reason why the world's in such disarray right now, whether you do or do not believe the global warming, that's not an issue. I just wish the people who talk about that, like Al Gore, who's probably one of the biggest waste offenders in the world, people who's on private jets and all sorts of stuff, as a lot of those Hollywood insiders who pretend to be for the environment are. Even if whatever you got to say about it, I just wish they would change the whole thing to pollution, because like this is obviously clean around here. So many places I've been to, like I think it's the Pearl River or Yellow River. I was in China years and years ago, and it was just disgusting filth. Or the Ganges in India, just disgusting filth. Or when you're looking at a lot of parts of South America where they're mining for gold, they're flushing all the water through, and all the silt goes everywhere, and the rivers are just completely choked with I suppose it chokes the oxygen out, doesn't it? So the fish just die. But so whether it's chemical pollution or just having the wrong things in the wrong place and the wrong concentrations by our activities, you can't deny some of the stuff that's going on. So I'm not even going to say global warming. I'm just going to say pollution and fucking up the environment. Now, that was caused by their generation mostly, more than any other. I mean, you had during the Great Fog and everything in England, because they were burning coal. It was quite bad then because it had industry and trains and everything burning coal. But that was, as bad as it was, it wasn't. It was one imbalance. It was an imbalance in the air. We didn't have a complete destruction of coral reefs and everything going on back then. What we've got going on nowadays. I mean, you can see it for yourself. You can travel to these places and see, and by traveling to them, you kind of make the problem worse. That's the, extinction tourism. But they definitely haven't lived if they're telling you not to live. And this is what I don't want to have in my face if I have, if me and my girlfriend have it right now, because we're, I don't want to be told not to come here. Don't come in the forest because you should stay at home, and fuck you. I'm gonna stay healthy by walking around and doing shit. I'm gonna try limit myself being around other people. But I'm going to also look at things in my logic. I don't want to be told what to do by any government in the world. Any specialists have to make a logical case to me, and none of them have so far. Logical case being, simple fact is, one, we're not going to do an anti. I don't trust vaccines, but even if I did, the quickest one that's ever been produced took 4 years. It was for mumps, so you have to assume they were trying pretty hard to cure that one, and it took so long. So and that's if I don't know if you can even trust any of these things, to be honest with you. But there's that. There's the fact that in that time it's going to get around the world anyway. You're going to get it unless you're going to lock down the world. I'm not just talking about economic side of things. Locking down the world is a crime against life itself. We are part of one of the life forms in this channel. To have us live like no other creature has to live, well, even if it wasn't an engineered virus like it almost certainly was, you have to ask yourself, why did this happen? And there's a book called Plague's Progress that why are you up there? Look at this. Got this to drink and he chooses to drink there. Anyway, there's a book called Plague's Progress, and it talks about the fact that, like in the Galapagos Islands, when there's too many of one, what the fuck is he doing? When there's too many of one species, what will happen is some predator will either move in to fill the gap, and that could mean a new species will appear, or through whatever. Again, I don't want to get into these things. Though, is it intelligent design or is it evolution? It's irrelevant. Something fills the gap to take advantage of a source of protein or whatever it might be, right? Human beings are too abundant right now, or at least we appear to nature to be too abundant because we're living in concentrations. You know, right? Cities are not natural; they're just wrong, and that's why even as I've spent half my life as a city person living in big cities in the world, I'm much happier living in the countryside. Once you get over the fact that you're not missing out on shit, it's actually a lot easier living in the countryside, and you're not sitting sucking on the tit of the system waiting for a handout. Please, system, help us. We need something. We need whatever it is that you need in the cities that you can't do without, and you're going to die without. For example, if you live in Florida and you don't have electricity, try living without air conditioning in Florida. That's why the place is populated so much since the advent, well, the actual Florida invention of air conditioning. So I'm skipping a bit all over the place right now again, ain't I? Yeah, so let's say, for example, just to be fair, it takes them also 4 years to find a vaccine for this. We only spend 4 years not living our lives properly all around the world, while the Jeff Bezos of the world are making bank because every other business is closed down strategically, to allow them to take all the business and concentrate power and wealth to one person. Is that what we're going to do? I'm not. And to be honest with you, I would rather be gunned down or just in the daily activity of my life, just living like a normal human being, than to comply with this fucking horse shit that's going on around the world. So I'm just going to carry on living. In fact, the only reason that I'm not traveling right now is because my dog is too old to travel. But I did just get insurance for the bus. We are going to do little trips away. But the lockdown situation makes it a lot more difficult. This is why in some ways it'd be kind of easier if I'd made it all the way to Russia, you know what I mean? Because at least it's a massive landmass I could just drive between and not give a shit. America was kind of cool like that you didn't have to go through borders. Most of Europe is too, but because the COVID thing, they still have all these border points, right, that they had before the EU, before the EEC had morphed into the EU, and then they made the Schengen region where you could travel visa free. But we still have on the edge of Europe, like right here between the Schengen region stops at Croatia, so we're in it, so we can go to Italy. Like 2 weeks ago, I was just in Italy, just went across the border back near Trieste. No issue. Back to Portoros, no border check. No, there is an old border point, but it's not manned at all. Yeah, they could be started up again. Depends how fascist our governments all become. And you know, just something tells me it could go that way. You know, I mean, I always say, look at New Zealand. If you want to see what's going to happen in the world, look at New Zealand. This is where they try out the social engineering experiments. They try them out there. All the psyops they do, they often get tried in that country as well, because they're a very pliant sheep-like population. And Dan, they they trial things out there, and they see Yeah, they see the reaction of people. They see what kind of levers they have to push, what kind of reality levers and what kind of social control levers they have to pull to make people more compliant. Um, they test thresholds and see what people will put up with, you know. And it's amazing how much people will put up with to be told what to do. When they think something, especially when the scared folk think something's in their best interest. And the simple reality is, well, what are we going to do? I mean, I gave the example before of people who are maybe dying of cancer. Do you think they give a fuck? They just want to live their lives. They've only got a few months left, or let's say it's even a year left. Let's say it's even 2 years left. I'm not going to give away 2 months of my fucking life. I've only got 2 years left. I'm going to do as much as I can. If that means I need to be in the middle of nowhere, experiencing life with the bears and the wolves, I'll be doing that. You know, but these fucking assholes would have you saying, "Oh, you're not wearing a mask. You're miles away." You know, fucking just absolute nut jobs. And so I have to wear. Thank you, Anita, for this. I have to wear this, even though no, it does nothing, because just to shut people the fuck up. I just can't be bothered with their shit. And after wearing that, and wearing that, well, I actually only had that one till recently. But I mean, I was wearing the stupid blue one before then. It didn't make a difference because I think I already got it. I think, you know, it doesn't. All we're doing is delaying the inevitable. And I don't like to sit there, run away from something. It's like running away from a bully and eventually you're going to get punched. It's like, well, okay, one day you're going to have to grow a pair of balls or spend the whole of high school running away from people, aren't you? Or whatever it is, school that you've been bullied in. No, you turn and you face it, you know. One at least good lesson my dad gave me in life, because a lot of his life lessons were shit, especially about women, but was never taking shit from any bullies, you know. Basically stalk them, hunt them down, make them the hunted, you know. And that's what I strove to do in my life, which is why I didn't have a high school of fear like a lot of the people who are my friends. Like I had a friend, Gareth, right? Me and my friend Clinton decided to see if we could make him cool. At least stop him getting beat up all the time. We were watching him getting beat up in the field, and we thought, huh. So we went down and we beat up these other two kids who were beating him up. There was 3 of them actually, and then we allowed him to do stuff like punch us in the arm and get away with it, you know. And slowly his confidence level would get up. Before you knew it, he was kind of cool, you know what I mean? And so it was like, experiment worked. So my point being that you know, fear can keep us in a. It's not even. I suppose there is. If you look at what red pilled really is versus blue pilled, if you're properly red pilled, you should be at a stage where you don't have these insecurities that people can have all throughout their lives, but especially in high school and primary school. So and then you could also draw parallels to say that being red pilled is actually making the most out of life, or just because choosing not to accept lies as your reality has to be living a more worthwhile life, you know. A second, just got my dog on a leash. He hasn't got coronavirus, he's okay. Because he's deaf, so he can't hear anything. Bravo. Alright, where were we again? If I turn my phone around or something, I might be upside down at this stage. Yeah, maybe I'm talking longer than I have to here. Got 29 minutes. Yeah, maybe I'll push off in a second. But yeah, I think it's pretty, pretty clear cut. If you're scared of dying, and girlfriend's 23, different story, she hasn't really lived yet. But if you're like, maybe not even my age either, but maybe if you're at least 50 to 60, you should be getting to the age where if you really feel petrified about the loss of life, yeah, okay, life's a gift, life is great, But the people who often use these as excuses are people who, when I look at their lives, you're not living a good life. You're living a shit life. You're living a fucking system slave. People who wake up every day to get to work, they often work 6 days a week like a fucking system slave. And they don't do anything they really want to. They've got dreams in life that they'll never ever accomplish. Like, oh, that'd be nice one day to take to go away for 1 week. 1 week? Fuck, I'd go traveling for a year on any, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, but yeah, I mean, you got to think about your income and stuff. I've had no income for years sometimes, and I've had fuck all money, and I've still done all right. You just, again, that's the currency that comes through confidence. The currency of confidence. I like that. Huh. Because basically living in fear is basically living in debt in some ways. It's like you're constantly worried that you kind of owe the system something, And these are maybe the kind of things that will drive you to not living your life and being a mug to yourself. And then telling people that they need to stay at home and not live. Like, I know you just had a child and I don't know, they've come from some brain complication and they're only 5. Like my friend's kid died of cancer a few years back. I was like, no, but we want you and your kid to stay at home. Fuck you. You know what I mean? You fucking selfish old bastard, making someone stay at home like that because you're scared that you might not see your 90th birthday. Just disgusting, eh? The selfishness that we have in the human race. Anyway, I think I've battered this one to death, this topic. So I'm going to leave it at that. Have a great day.